Yeah, I did mention this to you earlier, but if you are watching and I'm going like this,
Yeah.
I still am paying attention. I am just making sure the cameras are still working, because there's nothing more devastating than when one of these cameras goes out. So I am still fully engaged.
Yeah, no. And I bet if we worked hard enough, we could think of things that are in fact more devastating.
No, that is the most devastating thing
No,
in
you're
the
probably
world.
right. You're probably right. War, famine, second to the camera, dropping a camera track. You're right.
First world problems.
No, you're right. I blew that take. I'll never make it.
No.
I'll never recover.
But I was checking earlier today. The last time you were on the show was March of 2021, and holy shit, has the world just changed since then?
Man.
And also the film industry itself. But I have to say, it's been fun just watching you, throughout, your career and all these awesome gigs that you're getting and stuff like that, man. It's really been a fun ride.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. And I appreciate, the faith that you had in me to have me on the show all that time ago, over 2.5 years ago. Yeah, man, it's kind of wild because I hadn't been acting, at all until early 2020, right before COVID shut the world down. I did a thing, a short, or actually I think it was a feature length, but we shot it in a weekend. It was like a local production in Arizona. And I was like, yeah, that, my son really wanted me to do it. And, and he had just kind of discovered that his dad had ever been on TV in the first place. You know what I mean? And he thought that was cool. And so my wife was encouraging me to do it too. So I did this feature film horror thing, very independent, super low key. And I thought like, oh, okay, well, that was fun. Like nothing will come of that. But the bug bit me. And again, and with COVID, so much of my regular day-to-day stuff had shut down. And so I thought, well, I mean, at least I could look, see if maybe somebody would let me be in something. And one thing led to another. And I ended up on that Apple series, which we had shot before I was on your show, Swagger, but it hadn't aired yet. It didn't air for another like 5 months, not 6 months later. But yeah, I shot Swagger for Apple. And then by the time I was on your show, I think I'd already shot Breaking with John Boyega. I'm pretty sure that I'd already shot Breaking, which was called 892 at the time. And if I hadn't already shot it, I was already booked for it. And maybe I wasn't even allowed to talk about it. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things, right?
Yeah.
But so, in 2021 and then 2022, that came out and it premiered at Sundance, and we won the special jury award for Best Ensemble Cast. And so I'd done Station 19, which was since then, Station 19, I'd guest starred during Sweeps for ABC, which is Shondaland. It's the spinoff of Grey's Anatomy. And I'd done The Cleaning Lady on Fox, which was great. It was so much fun in New Mexico. Shot that in New Mexico. The Locksmith has come out. I booked The Locksmith. That's come out.
With Felipe.
Yeah, Ryan Philippe and Ving Rhames, Kate Bosworth. Yeah, Noel G. My dude, Noel G. Jeff Nordling. That came out February of this year, 2023, actually. And we shot that in late 2021. Between Thanksgiving and the end of the year, give or take, a little before Thanksgiving, we went into production.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people outside the film industry realize how long it takes, sometimes even post-production or for projects to come out. And sometimes it takes so long, you even forget about it. And you're like, holy shit, I forgot I did that.
It's wild. It is true that, like, honestly, like I had a Lifetime thing come out in, I don't know, only a couple of months ago with Jackée Harris. And it was like this, she had a podcast, a true crime podcast thing. And she goes and solves, it's very similar to, there's an Apple series that's kind of similar to it in premise. But, she's one of these true crime podcasters who also gets involved in solving these mysteries. And Jackée was on 227, which was like one of my favorite shows growing up. And I don't know why, but I loved that show. I loved her on that show, and she did Ladybugs with Rodney Dangerfield. And I just remember thinking, like, growing up, like, Jackée Harris was dope.
Yeah.
And she is. She's incredible. But I got to do that, and we shot that. I shot that when we were shooting I shot my part on that when I was shooting Wanted Man with Dolph Lundgren. I had to fly back between the two, between shooting Wanted Man with Dolph Lundgren and Kelsey Grammer, which still hasn't come out, and this Lifetime thing. I had totally forgotten about it. Truly, I'd completely forgotten that I'd shot it. And then my wife shows me a text that she got from like 12 friends. 15 different friends are blowing her up, saying that they saw me in the commercial for it. And we're like, oh, can't wait to watch it. And I'm like, what? I wasn't even sure what it was. And they were showing it, she was showing it to me, and like all of them had still caps from different parts of the trailer for it or the commercial that had appeared on Lifetime. And I'm like, I have no idea what the show is. And then finally she asked one of them, I was like, can you find out? And she's like, how do you want me to ask somebody what the name of the show my husband is on is? And I was like, well, don't say it that way. Maybe.
Yeah.
But figure out, maybe say, where did they see this? Or something. And it ended up that it was that Jack Hay thing. And I mean, I'm proud of being a part of it. Right. And I mean, what a great.
But so much time goes by.
Goes by.
And you do so much other work and projects.
I'm very, very fortunate that is the case, that I've been working a lot. And I mean, I count myself incredibly blessed, especially during the strike, to have had several projects that are on an interim agreement, an IA, so that I can still shoot them. And then there are things that aren't affected by the strike. The commercials and stuff that I've done, those aren't affected by the strike.
So they still are able to shoot commercials?
Yeah, you're still able to shoot commercials. There's no issue with commercials. There's no issue with daytime, with soaps.
What about I know like the Drew Barrymore, like those kinds of shows.
So that was an issue with the Writers Guild.
Oh yeah, yes.
The Writers Guild was also on strike, and once they got a new contract and agreed to and ratified the terms of that contract, all of those shows immediately came back in. Saturday Night Live came back in because they were Writers Guild members. All the late night shows, and the hosts of the late night shows are also more often than not members of the WGA as well. In most instances, especially like. Because Saturday Night Live has produced at least 2 of our late night broadcast people, 3, I think, now that I think about it, with HBO, all of those writers on the official writing team for SNL are members of the Guild. And so once they left and became hosts of a show, they're still a member of that Guild.
Yeah, the Guild. Yeah,
and they're still in the writer's room.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons why they weren't able to, and there was such a hoopla about Drew Barrymore and basically strike busting of sorts, and here's the thing, like,
because she was trying to continue the show, right, while the strike was still going on.
Yeah, she wanted to pick up the show, and I want to say that I don't know Drew, I don't know her writers that I know of anyway. I don't know that I know anyone that works on that show, so nothing I'm about to say is directly related to any of their feelings on it. So leaving them specifically out of it, right? I can see how a human being whose name is hung on a project can receive pressure from non-striking members of their project, and maybe even members that are currently on strike.
You mean like
too.
The higher ups?
No, well, from the higher ups for sure, right? They can receive pressure from them, and the higher ups, the studios were doing that. They were canceling deals. As soon as they had the force majeure, there's an out in the clause in every contract of, you didn't show up for work for this many days, you don't have a contract anymore. You voided your contract. And so I know HBO had rescinded a bunch of contracts, including J.J. Abrams' production contract, which is now reinstated. But like, that can happen, right? So all of that pressure aside, because you've got your union members and your union around you that you can say, look at this pressure. And so it's easy to look at that and fight back against that. I'm talking about the PA, the production assistant, who's got their rent due.
Okay, so one of my main strike questions, and forgive me if this is a noob question, is there's all the talk of the writers and the actors and all that, but what about the crew? Like, what is the crew doing? Do they have someone protecting them? Are they just waiting for everyone else to get their shit together and they're just out of luck? Like,
yeah, man, that
sucks.
When a production isn't in, when a production is dark or on hiatus, the crew's not working, so the crew's not getting paid. And and, you know, IATSE and all of these other craft crew, facilities, you know, unions, you know, there's only so much they can do. There's only so much union commercial work to go around. So much commercial work's just non-union, period. Which, by the way, I want to say something about Arizona, because I work in LA and I work elsewhere so much. You know, we do have our home here, and my wife and I and our son love being here. My in-law lives here. My mother-in-law lives here, and you know, we've got family here. But I will say that Bella Hibbs at Good Faith is one of the strongest, most vocal advocates from a casting standpoint that I have ever seen for actors in her markets. I
agree with that.
I have never seen somebody truly root.
Yeah, she's like truly on your side.
Truly, like genuinely, sincerely rooting so much for you, like with her whole heart. And
she's just a resource of good information. Like she's always on her stories telling you what
Open
to
book.
do, what not to do. Like
Bro.
if you're an actor, you should be definitely following her on Instagram.
I don't understand how you wouldn't. Like I do. I jump in on those anytime I can. And I think I think one of the things that brought that to mind for me is that a lot of the commercials in general across the board are non-union. A lot of commercials are non-union these days. And so while not all of them are non-union, and while Bella absolutely has commercials that are union commercials that she books for, she does book a lot of non-union spots as well, especially locally, because Arizona is a right to work state. And I will tell you, she has made so many times the point of don't sign away anything in perpetuity. Don't sign the AI thing, take this, take that, all of that sort of thing. And so that is something you can make a decent payday on a non-union commercial if you are not in the union yet, and you are, or maybe you're not at that point in your career or whatever, right? That's dope. You're still, by the way, how many jobs you book or how many auditions you get or whether you have nobody gets to define whether you're an actor or not. If you picked up a book and read something on acting, if you tune into Bella's feed, if you are trying, if you are submitting, if you're working towards making your living or making a certain amount of money as an actor, you are already an actor. Like,
I agree with that. I agree with that. It goes with anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah. But sometimes you get that what's it called? Just that syndrome where it like prevents you from thinking that
imposter
syndrome. Yeah,
man. And we all get that, bro. I get that all the time.
Listen, I'm glad you're mentioning that, because one of my questions is like, where does all your confidence come from to be able to bounce around all these projects? And do you ever have doubts about it? Like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, just wanting to go back to maybe a 9-to-5? And what pushes you to keep going?
So I think that is an important question and an important topic. That a part of it is when you prepare, when you relax, when you know that there's no wrong way to perform a scene. During an audition, you're already 90% of the way there.
So just being free,
bro. Like I'm telling you,
kind of just not giving a fuck.
Don't give zero fucks given.
I think that's my problem.
Know the dialogue.
Yeah.
Know the lines. Know where the person is coming from. And I do want to say, whatever camera I do want to say, everybody has their own process, and I'm not here to judge anybody's process or tell you this is the only way to do anything.
But I definitely want to get into it.
Right. No. But I just wanted to preface it with that. So all I'm talking about is my process, right?
Definitely.
I know my lines. I know them backwards and forwards. I always still carry my script, by the way, during rehearsals, during the audition, even during callbacks, unless I'm instructed otherwise. During callbacks, I don't have my script. That's true. I never have my script at a callback, but I have it during my auditions. I have it during rehearsals. Like if I booked it, if I've already booked the job, I have it right up until they say rolling, because anything that happens that I'm watching and I'm taking in, I want to be able to pay attention up here and see everything. And I have my notes on my sides. I have my, you know what I mean? I have my stuff here. This is my thing. And any change that happens, I want to see it and see. That's my process. That's how it works for me, right? Even if I know my lines backwards and forwards, which I always do. So when you are invited to audition, when you have been invited to audition, chill the fuck out. You just won. You just got invited to audition. That means that your headshot was appealing to casting enough to bring you in. Your resume, whatever is or isn't on it, is appealing enough. If you get the breakdown for the audition you are asked to audition for, and the character appears to be completely and vastly different than you physically, fuck off with yourself. It's your audition. You have been invited to audition, and the casting director knows more about this shit than you do. So get out of your own way.
Sometimes they try to do that anyway.
That's right.
Yeah, they throw that in.
Sometimes
and they get cast.
You book. You book because you think there's no chance I'll ever book this role.
Well, what's funny about that is sometimes when you leave and you're like, man, I'm not getting that audition. They call you the next day, and the ones you're like, holy shit, I killed it.
And
they don't ever call you.
They're bowled over by it. Not only do you book, they call you to tell you booked,
and
because
like, what the fuck?
They were blown away by what you did because you gave zero fucks. You were prepared. You left all your fucks at the door, or if it's a self-tape, you left them all on action. You know what I mean? Like you got them out of the way. And that is
so just taking that audition already as a W.
Right. Because the audition now, in that moment that you're auditioning, have that be your scene. That is your role. It's your role. You've been invited to audition. Forget that it's an audition. Make it a performance. Know the genre that the program is in. Know like what they tend to look for. If it's an existing show, if you're coming in as a guest star, or you're auditioning even for a co-star, right? Like get the general feel for the show if you can. And just have an idea of what it is, right? So that you get the vibe, and then give your performance that you would give for that role. And sometimes, by the way, for co-stars, it doesn't have to be like some fucking Anthony Hopkins, Tony came up with some idea, and that's, it doesn't have to be like, fava beans. There doesn't have to be, how do you want your coffee? Or would you like cream with that, right? Like, that is still a booked job if you get it. It still is a network credit if it's on a network show. It's still a paycheck. It's still an opportunity, right? So like, I'm not passing judgment on co-star, one-liner, two-liner, drop-in under 5 roles. I'm saying take those with just the same merit as anything else and take them just as seriously as any other audition you get. But don't try to like move anybody to tears if the line is, and what would you care for this evening? Or would you like cream with that? Or may I take this plate? Get out of your own fucking way, man. Like we've all been a waiter before, or, seen a waiter. We've all been in a restaurant. Like, may I take your plate? And get the plate and go away. And know that like none of it is personal. None of it's personal, bro. None of it. It truly is not at that point. Nothing about that is personal at that point. So just
because depending on the audition doesn't mean your audition sucked. It's just the other person was more right for that role.
You don't even know what. Yeah, you don't even know if the person was more right for that role, or they were the cousin of somebody, or the nephew of somebody, or if it's their 50th time auditioning for the show, or if that scene's going to have Carol Burnett in it, like in Better Call Saul. Towards the end of Better Call Saul, man, they had auditions for these roles that worked opposite Carol Burnett. Can you just throw?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Can you have a break-in actor on their first booking on a show with Carol Burnett? No. You need somebody who bona fide, 1, won't freak out. 2, is going to murder it without trying, right? Is just going to be at home, at ease. I'm a co-star. My job is to facilitate this legend of television on this iconic show, right? My is just to move to help facilitate her moving the story along, because I'm not even a part of the story. I'm just this person.
Did you play that role?
No.
Oh,
my friend Matt Manello played that role and crushed it.
I saw like 3 or 4 people that I recognized on that show. I was like, holy shit.
Yes, it filmed in New Mexico. Yes.
I auditioned for that shit like a few years ago.
Yeah. So I auditioned for, in that episode, I auditioned for the butcher in the audition. And the guy that booked is a great actor. And I think his name is John. And I like his work. I've seen him in other stuff. He's a great actor. I didn't book. I don't book 90% of the things
Yeah,
I
most
audition
people don't.
for.
Yeah.
I get a bunch of auditions. I might get called back on.
It's kind of like a numbers game too.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Just do what you're going to do with it. Just do what you're going to do with it, and then get out of your own fucking way, man. And that's all there is, because like, it's not about trying to make it different. It's not about trying to make it the same. It's not about trying to do what the other person,
make it your own,
what you perceive the other person would want. It's just about taking the information that's on the page, because all of this starts with the words, which, by the way, the WGA strike, which we've already touched on, man, fuck, dude, like, I don't work if Kevin Williamson didn't create Dawson's Creek.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? I would have quit acting by then.
Mm-hmm.
If I hadn't been on Dawson's, I would have been like, yeah, these commercials are great and the money's good, but like, I don't want to do this. And I was doing All My Children and stuff. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
How long were you acting before the break?
So I joined SAG FICOR in 1993.
Holy shit.
I was in high school. I booked 7 or 8 commercials out of Richmond, Virginia, and I shot them all over the place: North Carolina, Atlanta, Florida, in Virginia. And then I booked one and I didn't even know what SAG. I didn't know that I was
eligible,
that I was making all this money, because I was a ward of the state. I grew up at the boys' home. I was in foster care, so it was all going into this trust fund that I didn't even know about.
Oh shit!
And I mean, I knew about it, but I had no comprehension of the amount of money that was going in on these huge commercials. I was in huge commercials.
Damn.
Yeah, I was like the star of a Ford commercial with Mark Down for Ford for the F-150 when they remodeled the F-150 in 93 or 94. Anyway, it was wild, right? So I had no idea about any of that. And then I booked this Tide commercial in New York that was going to film in New Jersey. And I booked. And my agent in Richmond, Virginia, Stacy Van Cherry from Model Logic, was like, yeah, so you're a SAG must join. So I need you to go up to the DC office and cut them a check for whatever it was at the time. I think it was like $1,700, $1,500, something like that. Cut them a check and join the union. And I was like, what? And I'm thinking, where am I going to get $1,500? I go to my social worker at the boys' home and I'm like, hey, I apparently have to join this union or I don't get to do this commercial. I am a must join. And, the internet existed, but it was still dial-up and stuff like that. So we're talking a long time ago. So she calls, the social worker got enough information to know that this was all legit. She spoke to the agent, she spoke to whoever, I don't know. She vetted it. And then she was like, yeah, you've got the money for this, don't worry. And so we went to the bank and got a cashier's check withdrawn from the trust. And she had to be there with me. We both had to sign it. And then I still had no idea how much was in this account, by the way. 5-6 national commercials, union commercials at this point. So you can imagine it's a bunch of money, but I had no clue, bro. Like truly, I had no idea. So then I'm like sweating, man. Crazy. Like I'm getting straight A's. I'm training as hard as I can for football. Like, cause I need a scholarship to college. Like that, my mindset is I need something, somebody's got to pay for college. So, I go up to the DC office and the weirdest thing happens because I filled out everything. I was a legal adult, which is not the same as emancipated. I was legal 18, which means that I could sign contracts. But I still had to be at the boys' home by a certain time. I could still be sent to juvie, you know what I mean? But I could sign contracts basically. And so, and my worker's permit stuff was different. And I was legal 18 because I was at the boys' home. Like you had to fill out my college applications, stuff like that. So I'd filled out this form myself and I filled it out exactly the same way as my college applications because that's the only official document I had ever filled out. So I put my legal first name is Charles. Bourke's my middle name. I put Charles Floyd on the thing and I give it to them and they're like, yeah, you can't have this name. They pulled out like a little phone book and they flipped through the directory and were like, yeah, that name's taken. And I was like, what the fuck? What? No, what? Because when you join SAG, they protect your name. Like you can't go be Brad Pitt and spell it with one T. Like you can't even sound similar. Samuel L. Jackson. Sam has Samuel L. Jackson as his name because there was already a Sam Jackson and you know what I mean? Yeah. And he couldn't do Sammy and it you can add the L.
Yeah, Sam Jackson's probably a common name.
Michael J. Fox. Mike had to put the
and
J.
And there was already a Charles Floyd.
There's already a Charles Floyd. Yeah. So I was like, okay. And anyway, that's how I ended up joining the union as Bourke. But I did that. Then I was in college and played football in college and was doing some stuff for the government at the time, while I was in college. And so it wasn't acting at all. And then my job after college through the government was working in high finance. In New York. So I'm living in New York and I'm walking down the street in New York, not thinking about acting at all, thinking about my job for the government. And I got stopped on the street, man, and ended up doing Abercrombie and Fitch.
Yeah. We talked about that last time. I remember that.
Yeah. So, and so did that then I ended up in all these commercials, the Gap commercials and all sorts of stuff. And the voice of Quiznos for all that time. And
yes.
Toasty.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, man. So like I'm doing all this stuff and one thing leads to another. I end up acting like full time so I did that for a long time until 2007, 2008. And then I took my break for family stuff that I was trying to deal with and work through and all of that stuff. And then I didn't come back until 2020.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so I was gone for 12 years, give or take, and it was wild, man. It's wild to come back and get to do the stuff that I'm doing now. I mean, The Locksmith was in the top 10 on Apple for its like first 3 weeks, and like #1 in Thrillers on Hulu for its first few weeks on Hulu. It's on Hulu now. I'm in that damn thing. Like Ving Rhames, Marcellus Wallace from fucking Pulp Fiction kills me.
Yeah,
it's freaking dope, bro.
Yeah,
that's dope. Naveen Andrews in The Cleaning Lady. Naveen Andrews from Lost, bro. Naveen Andrews has me killed in The Cleaning Lady. Do you know what I mean? I watch this stuff and I'm like, how is that? How is this even possible? You know what I mean? How is that possible that I'm in this? I mean, my boner pill commercial runs in between every football game now.
You're in a boner pill commercial?
You're damn right I am. Nugenics. Oh. Hey man, once you hit 40.
Well, there's a
Frank Thomas
plot line in the Sound Guy involved fictional boner pills called Boner Max.
Oh, nice. Good.
And there's even you can even go to bonermax.org to check it out.
I kind of appreciate that it's a .org. There's something about the fact that it's a .org that makes it best.
Well, in the
makes it art.
Flick, the website pops up, so I just wanted an Easter egg where like people could actually go to the website. I love it. It'd be real,
Yeah. So. Yeah. But by the way, man, crushing with the Sound Guy.
Thanks, man.
Dude, how many trophies do you have now for that? Like all of them. Like you got more laurels than all the Caesars combined, bro. Like, it's incredible, for real.
It was definitely a learning experience. I made that adjustment from going from acting just to behind the camera. And honestly, dude, I fell in love with just behind the scenes of it all and just being a director and the writing process of it. I think the biggest issue with me acting was I felt comfortable on set and doing all the, like, I felt actually at fucking home. Anytime I'm on set, I felt home, whether it's acting or directing or whatever. But I just never felt like I could get down the audition process because it's such a different skill than being on, like, it's its own thing.
Incredibly different.
That you have to like kind of get down to be able to even get on set. So,
but let me just say, right, the thing about that is throw it all out. Don't worry about it. Get your formula down. You know what? Like, I think you can do like classes with Bella or something, right?
Oh yeah,
like for auditioning, right?
Classes, yeah.
Just do one of those workshops or whatever, just so that you have the technical side of it, framing and what this is and eye lines and stuff like that, right? Get that part, because if you screw that up, then they can't hire you. If you sell it direct to camera instead of just off camera, if you play to camera instead of to your reader, even if your reader's on your phone or something, right? Mm-hmm. But your reader needs to be just off the camera, not to camera. Mm-hmm. Little things like that, right? But once once you learn the technical aspects of it and where to stand and how to stand there and how to frame and light and all of that, like the rest of it, then once that's locked, let the rest of it just be performing it like like you've booked it. Like treat the audition as a booking. Treat it as a booking. Like read the lines, deliver them, and move on. And if you don't like that take, do another take, but figure out what you didn't like about that take and give your reader notes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then do a fuck it one too. Like once you've got it in the bag, one that you feel really good about, do one where you just shake it out and you fucking go nuts. Like do something, like just try to find something completely different without trying to be different, right? Like just forget what you had kind of gotten in the pace of doing and do one more. That's a fuck it all.
I actually do that as a director after I feel like
100%.
I got what we think.
If you've got time,
yeah, I'm like,
yeah,
let's just do
I love directors like that.
Yeah, just like, because sometimes magic happens. And
yeah, not one for
like,
safety.
Holy shit.
There's times where you got to do one for safety. There are times where you do.
I'm talking about like you got
exactly.
that.
Not
like,
one for
we still
safety.
got like 10 minutes.
Hey
Fuck
man,
it.
we're running ahead, and
Fuck
you
it.
look at your first AD, right? You're like, we're good, right?
Yeah.
Okay, give me one. Give me one. We're fucking around.
And the faces of the actors are like, what? Really?
Dude, I love it.
They're like, we get to play right now?
Bro,
Yeah.
I love doing that, man.
Yeah.
Like I had one where I was supposed to say, what were you over there jacking off? Oh, you jacking off? And we had a little extra time, and he's like, toss it to me like 7, 8 different ways, however many different ways you can think of. And so the camera's right tight on me. And I was like, okay. I was like, what are you jacking off? What are you flogging the dolphin? What are you punishing the bishop? What are you choking your chicken? What are you beating your meat? What are you parming your eggplant? And he was
just
like,
giving him all this shit.
And I hear the director go, what the fuck? Stop. Hold on. Did you say parming your eggplant? And I was like, yeah. He goes, okay, fuck it. Let's get that lock. I need a safety, but that's the line I want.
Yeah.
And just in the random spitting it out, joking, riffing, what are you back there? Parming your eggplant?
I don't think there's anything better for a director when you're on set and you create these moments, but then the actors just come up with things that you never thought of that add something to it that is just $1 million. You're like, holy shit.
That comes from the director too, though, man, because it's got to be creating a space where you can throw out Ben Affleck said this to Matt Damon. He was like, when they were writing Good Will Hunting, he's like, don't judge me by my bad ideas.
Oh, for sure.
Judge me by my one good idea. Because I'll throw out 50. If I feel comfortable to throw out the 50 shitty, weird, doesn't make sense idea.
I think it's very important to create a space where you're not going to be ridiculed for shitty ideas. Because I'm all about the best idea winning. But to get there, we have to go through all of the worst ideas.
Yeah, man.
And even if it's like someone who's not necessarily on the set throwing out ideas, if they're holding on to something, it's like, just spit it out, because I'd rather hear it and then
send it.
Yeah, because I'll just tell you no if I don't like it.
Put it all in this bowl and let's figure out what we come up with.
Like, there's like a lighting guy who was like, you know what if you did that? Like,
yep.
Holy, and then we're all sitting there trying to figure it out. And then he's like, oh, dude, you just saved us like 2 hours right there.
Yeah,
like,
thanks, MacGyver.
Yeah.
I got a 10-1. Man, 10-1. Speaking of lighting guy, I'm going to leave you with this parting wish. Kids, be good to each other and don't buy drugs, okay? Become a TV star and people will just give them to you for free.
I don't know why I can't figure this out, bro. I thought it's like every other time, right?
Just hit me out of nowhere. It did. It just snuck up out of nowhere. I was like, oh my God, I gotta pee. Really, man.
I wish there was a pill that you could take that gave you that high, like when you're just being, like,
oh, bro, it's so incredible.
That feeling that goes through your body.
Yeah,
like,
man.
They need a pill for that.
A lot of that's blood pressure related, I think. It's like a sneeze, but better.
Yeah. Can you pull just a little bit closer?
Yeah, of course.
We were talking about auditioning briefly earlier. Not briefly, but before. I asked you this last time you were on the show, but I thought it'd be fun to ask you again since you've been killing it so much. I like to ask any actor that comes on the show if they have any audition horror stories. Is there, I think you told one the last time on the show. Is there anything since that you could tell about maybe?
I'm sure there's so many. Well, listen, in the world of self-tapes.
Well, that's the thing is, like, it feels like auditions have evolved to self-tapes now. That's like the first round is that.
95% of your first auditions are going to be self-tape. And a lot of the times you'll never be there in person. You may do like an EcoCast live or, a Zoom. For a callback at one point, or a chemistry callback or something, but like 90%, more than that, probably not commercials, just theatrically, 90% of your theatrical auditions are going to be self-tape. Let me think. I know there's some really bad ones that have happened to me. It's so funny because you shut them out. You really,
and I like to bring them back.
No, I know. I love that. Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, there have been some commercial auditions that have gone on.
It's hard asking the question now because it has evolved the video.
Yeah.
It happens more in person.
Yeah.
But my friend did tell me a funny one that he did through a video where he did, you know how you have to like do a 360 like just to show your profile,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Well, he did one. He didn't read the directions right.
Yeah, that'll get you.
And he did it just completely butt naked. And after he sent it, it said, "Please no nudity," but he read it as he thought it said nudity.
Sure.
So I'm like, how can you fuck
That's
up a video audition?
That's not a good spot to be in, man. That could get you on the wrong kind of list, I think.
You're probably like this fucking weirdo.
That's pretty bad. Like if they never say anything about it at all, if they don't mention nudity and you do it nude, at least you could get away with like, I don't know. But like if they're very hyper specific about please don't send me nudes, like no dick pics, and you're like, here's a 360 of me, lady friend. Like that seems counterintuitive to booking. I will say that for sure, I read and reread the instructions, and I still biff sometimes because you might have 5 or 6 of them in a day that I'll try to be knocking out. You know, at any given point, I'm very, very fortunate to have these opportunities to audition, and my booking percentage is good enough that I'm doing well and comfortable and working. You know what I mean? Even in these days with the strike. But it also, one way to look at that is that I'm not booking, you know what I mean? There are a bunch that I just don't book. But like right now, as of today, I have 4 self-tapes that I've gotten today. 2 are callbacks and 2 are brand new.
Did you have an agent that gives you these auditions?
Yeah. I'm with Sovereign Talent Group out of LA and UTA out of LA. And then Ferrari Talent are my commercial agencies.
Oh, damn.
It's my commercial agency. And then I'm with Mitchell and Associates in New Mexico. I don't have an Arizona agency. I think that I guess Mitchell technically would represent me out here, but I've only been seen by good faith on self-submissions. And I know there are other casting directors out here as well, but I've never been asked to audition for any of them. So, so I think a horror story, my self-tape stuff has generally, I've been okay because I'm really hyper, like
aware.
Where I've come close to biffing, I've caught it in time. I will say, I'll give you one.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Okay. It's not nearly, it doesn't come close to the naked. I had my, okay. So my agent is like, hey, we've got this audition. The guy's got to play piano. I was like, okay, yeah, I play piano. And I do. I actually play piano,
okay.
But I play by ear. I can read music for vocal, but I don't read music. Like I can read music, but my brain doesn't translate. I'm very musically oriented and I'm fortunate to be very musically gifted, but my brain doesn't translate notes on a page to what my hands should do on a piano. Do you know what I mean? So
I'm exactly the same, dude.
Yeah. So like if I hear the song a few times, I can figure it out and then I can really start playing it. If I know the song, if I've heard the song 100 times, sit me at a keyboard for 10 minutes and I'll probably have most of it worked out and be playing it like well, you know what I mean? Like fully built, not just faking it, but actually playing it. In 2 minutes, I can fake it. I can hold chord and do walks and stuff, a couple of arpeggios maybe, but in 10 minutes, I can play it for you, But so she's like, do you play piano? I was like, yeah. And she was like, okay, well, we need to, you playing a song on piano. So I play a song on piano, I sing, and I play the song on piano. We put it over there, we send it in. I get a call back. I come in, they're like, yeah, you're going to have a piano there, for you to play. I was like, no sweat. I come in, I'm completely ready to go. I've got the same song that I submitted plus a couple of others in case, that I just played a couple of times just to make sure that I'm fresh and good with it. I get in, they put this fucking orchestration in front of me, bro. That was like for the show, like what they wanted the character to play. And I was like a concerto. And I was like, what? And it wasn't like Moonlight Sonata. I could play that with my eyes. It wasn't like one that it was like a fucking like Bach 13th or something. And I was like looking at it. You know what I mean? I was like, what the fuck is this, man? I think, but you're in the room. So like, you don't want to, and they're like, you read music? And I was like, yeah. And before I've seen it, right? And so I'd walked myself into it, and it was like every one of those nightmares that you see in sitcoms where the person says they can do something and really truly can't, and just fucking eat a dick.
Well, because that's kind of one of the things they tell you is like, just say yes, even if you can't do it. Just
I mean,
figure it out.
and I can, like, if
but you could actually play.
If you gave, I can really play, and if you gave me sheet music for a vocal line, I can really sing, and I could sing that vocal line, right? But it's like the way that it's broken out on the different staffs and all of that for piano, while I understand the music theory, I'm doing
so
air quotes.
If they gave you the song to listen to, you would have went in there and ripped it.
Yeah, it was a song. I wasn't even, I mean, and like, I'm not like a classical like savant for classical music either. So like, I don't even know, I wasn't even sure if it was one I'd ever heard before, based on the title, because it was like a number, like Pachelbel's canon in D. Everybody's got a canon in D, right? So if you gave me like, Mozart's canon in D instead of Pachelbel, I'd be like, I don't know that I know this. I don't know that I know this song. I don't know what this is. I don't know what I'm looking at.
So what'd you do?
Bro, I sat there for a second, and it was a come to Jesus moment. It was a couple of beats of a come to Jesus of me sitting there playing a couple like tinkling the high bass a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, ding. Yep, this piano's in. I was like, do I say, oh, this piano's not in tune, or this piano's not regulation? It was just so bad, bro. And so finally I just looked and was like, I don't read music to this level. Do you have a recording of it or anything? And they were like, and I was like, or should I just leave? Maybe I'll just leave then, because you guys definitely don't. I've just absolutely dicked this over but the funny part is that I got all the way seated
to that point,
on the piano bench, looking at this music that I knew I could not read. That'd be like me handing you the Rosetta Stone and being like, walk me through it. Do you speak English? Perfect. Walk me through this shit, will you? Be like, what the fuck?
I have this feeling though that happened a few times. That day.
Oh yeah.
Bro,
it had to have.
Yeah,
you should have seen this fucking music they had in front of me. I mean, honest to God, like, even, I don't know many. I mean, one of my best friends is a, fantastic piano player named Andrew McMahon. He is a emo and rock musician. He was the front man for Something Corporate and Jack's Mannequin, and now Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness. He was just playing When We Were Young Fest and all of that. And he's got a show in Flagstaff actually on the 7th. I'll be up there for that.
Oh, nice.
So, but I mean, he can really play. And he's the first person I called when I walked out. And I actually had remembered what the piece was at that. I still remembered. So I was able to call him right away, be like, bro, this is what they put in front of me. And he's like, fuck me. Did they tell you?
Even him?
No, I mean, he's capable of it, obviously. Yeah. But even he was like, fuck, bro.
Yeah,
like, that's not, they're not dicking around. Did they warn you? And I was like, they said that I would have to play in the callback. They said you would have to, come ready to play. But I mean, I thought, and the song that I did when I submitted wasn't like,
it's like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Yeah, bro. Like, it wasn't, I mean, like, it was strong.
No,
like,
I know.
It had like a piano break to it, but it was not, they
nothing. Just wanted someone that shreds.
They wanted someone that absolutely shreds.
Yeah.
And they did not prepare anyone based on the instruction of the callback for that. It was a nightmare.
At that point, wouldn't it be easier just to hire a professional pianist than an actor?
No, yeah, and I do, usually when I'm doing my penis work, I do have a professional for it. Just ask my wife.
I don't know how to say that word.
Just ask my wife. No. You know what? Actually, on The Locksmith, I will say this. On The Locksmith, the young lady who plays, Maddie, who plays Ryan's daughter, Ryan and Kate Bosworth's daughter in The Locksmith, at the end, she gives a piano concert at the recital at the end. And that is really her. And she practiced it and learned it and crushed it. She rehearsed it over and over and over again throughout, that was like during the filming process. She was rehearsing it all the time and she nailed it.
Oh,
and
that's
actually
awesome.
her. Yeah.
That's cool.
So, I mean, it can be done. And I do actually feel confident that like I could have learned it if I had been
given time.
Yeah, if I'd even been given,
yeah.
you know, probably an hour to like really listen to it, and to listen to it with the sheet music in front of me, because it was so complex to have the sheet music in front of me. While I don't read that in that way, it would help me keep what's next and where's next. You know what I mean? Like I would be able to follow along as I was playing. It's a skill
just reading music in its own. Besides playing, because it's its own little language that you have to learn. And especially piano, there's 2 different staffs for each hand.
That's what I'm saying.
So I remember when I first started playing guitar, I was trying to learn how to read notes. I remember playing Twinkle Twinkle Star on 1 string for like months. Sure. And then I met a kid in the neighborhood who played guitar, and he was shredding. He's like, "Do you know about tablature, bro?" And once he showed me that, and I figured out power chords, I was like, I've been doing this all fucking wrong.
Why didn't anybody give this to me before?
Yeah, I was writing songs like the next day.
100%.
And then I read, and some of the best musicians I know that are just completely shredders can't read any notes.
Ed Sheeran doesn't.
And they do exactly what you talk about. They can hear it, and then they could just play it and figure it out.
Ed Sheeran can't read music. He was when he was sued by Marvin Gaye's family or whoever it was, you know, and he proved that it wasn't plagiarized. You know, a part of it was that he can't read music. He's like, that is not at all something I can do. I'm capable of. And
I realized it's like, I don't want to put time into learning these, like how to read these notes when I'm actually learning it faster this way.
Right.
You know
and in the
I mean?
same way that we say that, everybody's got a process, right?
Exactly.
And so to that end, like, you know, there are people that it makes more sense not writing it down, but then, you know, who was the one that transposed all of Mozart's work? It was probably him, I would presume, based on the movie. That's the only, you know what I mean? But like, so it does, you know, it's just one of those things, right? Like, and just similar to acting or anything in the creative, in the genuinely creative world of it, it's one of those things of like whatever process works best for you to get the end result, as long as it's not impacting other people's ability to work, right? To do their process, which I think is a big part of what a director does on a set. Because especially these days, there's just with COVID and everything. And again, listen, I was on a big break, right? So I don't know how much I didn't come back until right at the beginning of COVID. So I don't know how much of the industry, the lack of rehearsal in the industry now, I don't know how much of that is directly related to COVID and how much of that.
So you're saying there's not as much rehearsal now?
There's no rehearsal.
Oh, wow.
There's no rehearsal.
That is one of my favorite things to do when I have that was one of my favorite parts of the sound guys, because it's going back to having ideas, not being scared to have ideas that fail. It's because we get to rehearse the scene. And it's like, just try all these things out. I'd rather fail at this now than like when we're fucking on set and the money's going, you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
And that's when like I was talking about earlier, some of the magic happens, because I'm like, holy shit, I never even have thought about this. Yeah, say that there. Yeah, do that, you know?
Rehearsals on film these days, film and even TV these days, are ostensibly camera blocking. Same as it was on soaps. When I was on All My Kids, we would show up.
All My Kids.
All My Children.
That was my mom's favorite show.
Oh yeah,
All My Children.
That's cool. Yeah, man, that was a lot of fun to be a part of that. But we'd show up. We'd rehearse it in the rehearsal room. You know, where it was basically taped out. Not on the soundstage at all. Not upstairs on the soundstage. We'd rehearse it in the rehearsal room, and get our blocking, and the director and cameras would be there making their notes. And then we would lock blocking, and then they would go up and camera rehearse it without us while we were doing hair and makeup.
But with
and
maybe with stand-ins or something?
Yeah, well, yeah, stand-ins probably, and usually not maybe even stand-ins. Yeah. It was really so fast that there wasn't time to switch. So they would rough it out. There are times where they would have camera B cam, C cam, because it was a 3-camera show, B cam or C cam, or a PA might stand in just to get the framing, the framing. Yeah. But like no official stand-ins. And then we would come up and we would shoot it. And like, so your rehearsal wasn't an actor's rehearsal, it was a camera block rehearsal, but we figured it out. That was our time to see what we were giving each other and go with it. You know what I mean? And now like in film, it's in TV, it's basically the same way. Like there's no big rehearsal space prior to on the day.
Well, so as an actor yourself, what's your opinion on that? So I know, say for example, Joaquin Phoenix. I heard there was actually issues between Joaquin Phoenix and Robert De Niro on the set of The Joker, because Robert De Niro loves fucking rehearsing his ass off and knowing exactly what they're going to do when they're on there. Where Joaquin's exact opposite. He just wants to show up and just figure it out literally like when they roll action. What would you prefer as an actor?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would depend on the role and what we're doing. And I can absolutely see both sides of that.
Me
in
too.
That particular
I know, me
project,
too.
especially.
Yeah.
Although Bob, no matter what the role is, Bob wants to know exactly what he's doing.
I almost feel like because of those two opposing processes, that's why those scenes are so goddamn magical.
There you go.
And then Todd Phillips is a genius for being able to allow that.
That's what a director, and that comes right back to exactly what I was saying to start all of this. Without rehearsals, what ends up happening with the director, in my opinion, what I love most about a great director is that they will translate the creative language of all members. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you speak in one manner creatively, right? Whether it be a part of your process or just how you verbalize what you want or expect or trying for or looking for or whatever. You verbalize or present it, maybe not even verbally, in a certain way, right? And the other actor does something totally different, right? And or their own way. And maybe it's not even totally different, just maybe it's slightly different. And somebody has to be there to mediate and translate those, because we're all in theory there for the same purpose, right? Of telling the story. And so I think, again, coming back to the writers and the words on the page, the biggest part for me to remember on all of those things is that it has to be whatever I do, I try to make it in support of, I try to do nothing unnecessary, and I try to do nothing self-aggrandizing with it just for the sake of being self-aggrandizing, right? And instead I try to work my role and what I'm doing in my performance to the intention of, to the truth of the story and carrying the story and helping the story and communicating it to the audience. And like the rest of it is just crap. The rest of it is sometimes great. I don't mean it's just crap in that it's trash. I just mean the rest of it's just the rest of it. You know what I mean? Like if you've got a dry turkey at Thanksgiving dinner, if the turkey's burnt or whatever, right? And you've got all the fixings on the side, great, right? But like, people are going to remember that you burnt the turkey, right? And so like when you work the story in, like focus on getting the turkey right, as dumb as it sounds. And where do I fit into that? And then if there's time for me to nail the gravy so that I get this moment that looks really cool or gets a little added fun for me and all of that, then dope. But like not to the detriment of us burning the fucking turkey.
Dude, there's nothing worse than an actor that prioritizes that, dude.
Fuck me running, man. It is, and I've been that person. Full disclosure, I've been that person and not known it. Not understood it, especially when I was a kid. I remember the first time I played the Scarecrow in The Wizard of Oz, and it was an equity contract. It was a huge theater. It was a big deal to get to do that. And I was so fortunate to get to be a part of that show. And it was at Theater Virginia. And there was a part where we enter into, I was in high school, and I got to enter into the Wizards, like whatever, where the wizard is, to see the wizard.
Oz, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're in Oz already, but we're in his castle. We're in his thing. You know what I'm saying? Like we're being brought before the wizard. And there were these steps, and I like did this, we all bound in together, all of us. And like, I did this thing where I did a hurricane off the steps on one of my entrances, where I like full on like stepped off and did, a full couple, whatever, like a hurricane kick off of it, like a barrel turn kind of thing off of it. And it was so high in the air. It was so dope. And it was like, and I just remember everybody being like, the fuck was that, man? You know, I'm working with these professionals who are in their 30s and, you know, and have been working for a very long time and are very, very strong professionals, man, and super mad talented. And I'm like running around like a chicken with my head cut off. About me, look at this cool trick I can do, right? Because I was a kid, man. I was like 16
That's a good learning
something.
moment, though.
It was a great learning moment. It was hard. It was hard.
Yeah.
It hurt.
Yeah.
It hurt. Still hurts talking about it now. I was so embarrassed at the time, and I'm still embarrassed by it when I think about it. But that's a part of being human, and that's a part of
being a kid, dude.
It's part of my humanity.
Yeah.
Is that I'm gonna hold it in a weird place, unfortunately. But I did learn it, and I do let go of it after I stop beating myself up about it. But every time I tell that story, which is almost never tell people that story, to be honest with you. That's a testament to you.
I'm clipping it.
No, you know what I mean? Though, for real, like I almost never tell people that story because
I appreciate you sharing
truly,
that.
as minimal as that seems, as stupid as it seems, and I know looking at it, the rational me, my brain can look at it and tell me, the conscious part of my brain can look at you and tell you, I know that it's dumb. I know that
but it's important.
The chemical drop underlying my conscious brain is the fight or flight response to that is a very flight thing because it's embarrassed. And I learned from it, but you know, I've been guilty of it too. And not just as a kid, I've been guilty of it in other ways where I was taking more than was rightfully mine in service of the scene. But the worst is when you're on two different pages and like
with the other actor,
yeah. And the
it's kind of the director's job to,
and that's the director's
figure
job. Yep.
One of my questions is in regards to this. Let me see. What is the best direction what is the best direction you've ever got from a director, and what is some of the worst direction you ever got from a director? You don't have to call them out or anything.
Yeah, I won't call out anybody for negative stuff, but I will say the one thing that I hate the most is don't give me a line reading.
You mean when they shout lines to you to say?
No, when you're like, say it like this, and then you say the line to me. Don't give me a line reading. Don't do that. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. I don't want you to tell me how you want me to say the line. If you want to fucking, if you want to get a marionette.
So when they're like, say it like this.
Yeah.
I
throw out a line. You need me on that wall. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. Right. Like if, let's say that Jack was up there and he's saying, you want me on that wall? You need me on that wall. That's a horrible Jack Nicholson impersonation, by the way. Let's cut that. Let's do a different line. Let's do a different famous line that I can
an impression you can nail.
Yeah, not even an impression. Just what's a famous line that I don't know. Like what's a it must be a peach of a hand. Let's do that, right? I'm your huckleberry. I'm your huckle. Must be a peach of a hand. I'm your huckleberry. What if Val Kilmer? And I use this as an example because it's a famous line, and that's how you hear it when you even think of that line. You hear him saying it.
Oh yeah.
Right. Okay. So it's easy to pick that apart because there are no notes. It's an Academy Award winning supporting actor for a reason. It's brilliant. No notes. Right. So, I got actually the line from that's not as famous. Well, Johnny Tyler, where are you going with that shotgun? He says it to Billy Bob Thornton. Billy Bob Thornton's coming out to shoot Wyatt. He's got a shotgun in his hand. And Wyatt's talking to Doc, and Billy Bob Thornton doesn't even see him. And he looks over and goes, what, Johnny Tyler, where are you going with that shotgun? Now, what if Val, instead of saying it that way, was saying it, why, Johnny Tyler, where are you going with that shotgun? Where are you going with that shotgun? Right? And he's like saying it completely like alarmed, which is totally not Doc. What if the director, instead of going, hey, man, remember that? Doc could give a fuck about that shotgun or Johnny Tyler. Doc's bulletproof, literally. Doc's got tuberculosis, and any other person would be bedridden or more likely fucking dead already. And Doc's boozing and winning at cards and fucking chicks and being cool as a goddamn cucumber because there is no person with a gun better than Doc fucking Holliday. And everybody fucking knows it. So he's never alarmed by a gun. He's never alarmed by a threat. He's never alarmed by anything. He could give a fuck. Right? Okay. And then that line comes out. Okay. What if instead of that, he walks over and goes, why don't you try it this way? Why, Johnny Tyler, where you going with that shotgun? Say it like that.
That'd be cheesy as fuck.
Well, what if he ends up delivering the line exactly the way that it is in that movie, right? But that moment of explaining why the line delivery that he was giving was wrong doesn't happen. Does the character, he's not informed, right? He never hears that bit. Why do you want me to say it that way? Why is screaming at the guy's got a shotgun? Why is screaming at him, Johnny Tyler, where are you going with that shotgun? Why is that wrong? If instead of helping me as an actor understand why that delivery doesn't work for you and why it doesn't fit, if you just give me how you want me to say it, I'm a fucking parrot. You can go get a bird at the goddamn pet store. I know a guy who's got a beautiful dog who's in an advertisement for that same pet store.
Does that happen a lot?
No, I mean, it doesn't really a lot. And like I tell people.
Guess who cast that?
I know. Oh, did she? Oh, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Yeah, Bella. Yeah, and that doesn't, look, it does. And I mean, there are times where that's what has to happen for an actor. There are times where that has to happen. And sometimes just give me the fucking line, man. Like, just how do you want it said?
Oh, the actor just giving up,
kind of. I mean, sometimes it's just like, I don't know. I'm
out of tries.
I'm fucking shook now. I'm not in it. I'm not having a good day. Give me the line. And I've been there for that.
Well, that sucks too, because there's nothing worse than when the vibe gets sucked out of the scene. Like, that's the last thing you want to do to happen to an actor, where they just kind of give up, right?
Yep. So the line reading thing is my least favorite manner of direction. Mm-hmm. And I've received it from people that I've done self-tapes with too, and friends of mine who are fantastic actors. And I've had to say, hey, do me a favor, just don't give me a line reading if that's okay. Mm-hmm. Thanks. And like that, and it doesn't make me angry, especially in an audition. It doesn't make me angry because, there isn't a director there. There's just a reader who's your friend who also may be a great actor. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's like saying, hey, don't give me the line reading, because then I'm Jimmy jammed on it, because I'm just saying it the way you're telling me to say it instead of like having a reason to say it that way. And like, the process doesn't work for me. I'd rather just talk about it.
Well, you're also asking like an opinion too, of like a friend, in a way.
Right. 100%. And so like, that's it, right? Is let's have the conversation instead. And so when a director just jumps immediately to a line reading, that does not work for me. That's my least favorite direction. The best direction I've ever received. I think, you know what? I think, Tony Hopkins, and he told me to call him Tony on Hearts in Atlantis. And Tony said, so that's not, I don't mean it as a name drop. He corrected me multiple times on set, to call him Tony. And we still, are in touch with each other, which is kind of crazy to me, but, it's not like we go and bro down.
No, I get it. But it's still fucking.
Yeah. Like he sent me,
he watched
The Locksmith, and he sent me an email about having watched The Locksmith and Waco. I got a good Dave Grohl story about Waco too, the aftermath on Showtime. That'll blow your mind.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Really trippy. But yeah, Tony said, at some point you're going to put together that you're really good and you don't have to do so much. Some point they'll come to you. And he wasn't, so instead of saying, yo, you need to chill the fuck out and do less, he just said, at some point it's going to come to you that you're really good. You're naturally really good at this, and you don't need to do so much at some point. And he walked away, and I was like, I feel like I just I'm grateful for it, but I also feel like I just got reminded by Sir Anthony Hopkins to chill the fuck out and stop chewing the scenery in this. And that like just doing it gets you a lot further. Do you know what I mean?
Dude, do you know how many people will kill for that moment? That's a life lesson.
It was a gift, man.
It was a gift.
And yes. I changed my entire approach to everything.
Exactly.
Every acting gig I ever had. And then even in real life situations, it also changed my responsiveness in real life situations I don't sell alarmed first. You know what I mean? Like it just isn't, It just isn't. If somebody came in here screaming, I would react physically and get up and be ready, but I would also be looking what's going on. Hey. I'd be the calmest dude in the room. Do you know what I mean? And
he's just cool as a cucumber.
Cool as a cucumber. And that's the beauty of it, right? Even when he raises his voice, it comes from this place where it like is so minimal. It's so, I'm not trying to tell you something. You know what I mean? I'm not trying anything. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just giving you this fucking line right now. And like, it changes the way that you say stuff. Like, because you know what, you know, if you are having the argument with somebody and they're screaming at you and you're screaming back, there's an argument, right? But if you're the bad guy in something and you want the audience to, if you can get the audience to lean in to try to hear you better, to like hang on every word.
Yeah, like Gus from Breaking Bad.
That's it.
Better Call Saul.
Yep. Like that kind of shit, man. That goes, bro. Like if somebody's screaming, if someone's killed your family and you I hate you, I'm going to kill you. You're screaming it, right? Instead, and you know, you can't do anything at the moment. And you just give them the, you know what I mean? You just look at them and you just let them know, like, I hate you. And I'm going to fucking kill you. Like the audience goes, oh shit. Oh shit. Like, you know, crying on camera, right? Crying on camera works, man. When it works, it works. And if it's organic and it's happening, then great, right?
Have you ever had to do that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. I did. I've done it a bunch of times, but I did this one thing, Alien Sniper. I did it with Joseph Umba and Amber Umba.
Oh, I know Joseph. Yeah. He's been on the show before.
He's amazing.
Yeah,
man.
I love Joseph.
He's so talented.
He was actually the very first acting gig I ever got.
Oh yeah.
I was pretty much just like an extra in the background, but
yeah,
it was one of those things where I met people on that set that got me onto another set, and it just kind of had that, you know, snowball effect.
Yeah. I did something with him a couple of years ago, pretty much right after I'd come back, and he was great, man. And I had to cry in this. I didn't have to, but I did. I ended up crying in the scene, and it really worked for me, I think, and from what I've heard, right. I'm happy with my performance in that scene, and I know that he was as well. And I think a part of that is that for the majority of the scene, I'm trying not to cry. Like the character. I mean, and I'm not even thinking, I'm not method. I don't, I'm not saying that, but I was in the moment. It does
seem kind of cheesy, but I know what you mean.
Yeah.
There's sometimes where just the moment becomes real.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
that's it.
You have no control of the emotions that are about to come.
That's right. And I spent the entire scene trying not to cry. And the young lady, the actress that I was in the scene with is dying. Her character is dying. And she was fucking brilliant. And it, bro, like, I mean, snot coming out of my nose, crying. The whole scene, I'm trying not to, and I'm biting it. And then it just, after the character dies and I sit there, it just literally, and it was like buckets, man. And it was real. I mean, I was in it. Like it fucking kicked me in the gut. And I think that's kind of part of it that makes it for me work for me is when you see the person trying not to.
Mm-hmm.
When you see the person so desperately trying to just keep it together and holding it as tight as they can to just get through. You know what I mean? And that's the shit that you watch and you're empathetic for. You know, where they're because we've all been in that place where we don't want to be a human. You know what I mean? Like we just want to fucking like explode and like.
Oh, it's every day of my life.
Every day, yeah, bro. Right.
Every day I wake up.
Yeah. That's my default setting. Yeah, but you know when we are in that place, right? We can all relate to that, no matter what it is about. No matter what it's about, we all get there at some point. And so when you see someone else that's truly presenting that to you, and if you're in it and you're leaned in on it, it's pretty impactful for the viewer. You know, it's pretty impactful for the storytelling.
Yeah, because once you add like the music to it, like I admit, man, I cry like a motherfucker to like songs.
Sure.
Like I'll listen to music and just start crying. Some of my favorite bands, I'm just bawling. I remember
Engelbert Humperdinck,
ex-girlfriend to a show, and she's like, "Why are you crying?" I'm like, "I'm just so happy." And she just looked at me like, "You fucking pussy."
Yeah.
I'm like, "This is how I am."
Yeah, no,
You know
I
what
get
mean?
it.
Even like, there's nothing better when you just see a movie and there's a scene that just touches you every part of your soul, and you're just like, holy shit. And sometimes it's not even sad moments. Sometimes it's just so happy, or the arc of a story, or there's something about filmmaking and the way the scenes go with the score, and you're just like, fuck. I'm obsessed with it,
dude. Baby Daddy, Adam Sandler, when they take the kid and the kid's begging to get to stay and they're taking the kid out the door, that puts me in the fucking ground every time it puts me in the ground. Every fucking time. Like, not that I've watched that movie 1,000 times. No, but I've seen that movie 4 or 5 times, you know, in the 20 years it's been out, three or four times or whatever. And I can tell you that scene gets me, like, just straight guts me, because he's begging this kid. And I mean, of course I relate to certain elements of that, being a foster kid or whatever, but like, yeah, man, like, yeah, I'm with you.
I forgot about that scene. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah. And I mean, in a movie that's otherwise
like a comedy,
pretty comedically genius, a lot of it, you know what I mean? A lot of it is in the pocket, you know what I mean? It's not as outlandish as a lot of the other stuff that he ended up going into, which is still really funny. And my little girl, Paris Barrels, is brilliant in a bunch of things with Adam Sandler, and works with him a lot. And she's like a daughter to me. And so, you know, I love his stuff. But yeah, his, that one was still in that, like, we're going to give you, it wasn't even Happy Gilmore. It was like, we're going to adult this up a little bit. We're going to give you outlandish, but we're never going to get to the Ace Ventura level of it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We're going to still,
there's like a lot of heart to it.
A lot of heart to it. Yeah. And that part really got me, man. And I think that's a testament to what, you just said, though, is that's a testament to what they did with the scene throughout, right? Like like everything about it, the music, the angles, that kid, I don't know if it was Cole or Dylan that ends up.
Fuck, I forgot about that too. Yeah, they played the kid.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're old as fuck now.
I know. I don't know which one it is in that particular in that.
They probably don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's funny because that is true, man. There are times where, like, you know, you don't know which kid is working.
So for people to know what we're talking about, there's 2 twin actors, and then because of child labor laws, when you see like one role, it's usually 2 twins that are like the Full House, the Ashley twins or whatever,
Ashley and Mary Kate.
That's one role, but because of child labor laws, they're able to get more hours out of them.
Yeah, and also if they're young, if they're very young, you know, one's a crying baby and feeding and things like that. Mm-hmm. So I will say, listen, in Hearts in Atlantis, I referenced it once already, but with Scott Hicks directing. Anton Yelchin, may rest in peace.
That was so
he was I loved that kid a lot, man. I loved that kid a lot.
He's in one of my favorite movies, dude.
Alpha Dog.
Alpha Dog.
Yeah,
that's a fucking scene where I teared up.
That'll get you
on the ending of that movie. Holy shit! And then to know that's a true story.
Yep.
Holy shit! Did I do a deep dive on that movie after?
In Hearts in Atlantis, you know, and you know all of his jobs that he did when he was a kid. You know, there were no twins involved in Hearts in Atlantis. So Will Rothar, Mika Borim, and Anton. You know, those it's them, and you know we had to schedule completely around it. You know what I mean? And when they came in, it was like we had to be ready to go. But like. Yeah, I mean, the twin thing is a funny scenario, I would think, not having experienced it as a twin, clearly. I would think that's probably funny to see stuff and have to remember who's in that scene. Who's that? Is that you or is that me? I can't remember. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they're so little, too.
So little that it's like they can't, yeah. And you don't know. I mean, you know, who knows how they rehearsed or shot it. But yeah, that's a good example. And I think music has, I mean, anything in E minor should make me cry. Sorry, had to drop that.
You're good.
Yeah. But you know, I think the emotional truth is all that really matters. Not to sound too actory, but just as long as it's like honest, as long as it's real.
I agree with that.
Yeah, what you're presenting, as long as you're in the pocket with it. But then there are times, right? So like, here's the thing we're knowing as an auditioning actor, knowing that you have to know what it's for, what the project is, right? So if it is Lifetime versus Hallmark, there's a great right there. Lifetime versus
That's not the same.
Hallmark, right? They're two different. Yeah, no, right? But they're two different. You're going to get the happy ending in the Hallmark movie.
Not on Lifetime?
Not on Lifetime.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You might
that's,
get
that's the difference.
You might get the happy ending.
endings, Hallmark.
Well, look, Hallmark deals with love, and Lifetime deals with murder and deceit, and you know what I mean? Those kinds of things, right? And so Hallmark tries to deliver this happy ending. It's kind of like a comedy and drama for Shakespeare. You know, it's a drama if someone dies. You know, it's a comedy if there's a wedding, right? But they're written by the same guy.
Yeah.
Right. In theory, anyway. So like, that's what I'm saying. Like Lifetime would be the drama Shakespeare, because they're opposite sides of the exact same coin, and Hallmark is the comedy of Shakespeare. And so you want to like focus on heightening, with still staying honest with it, still staying like believable, but maybe not as natural, maybe not as like, you want to amp up your energy level and bring the delivery and hit the delivery a little more on stuff for Lifetime and Hallmark.
Have you worked with both of them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've had friends I've worked on those projects before. But
yeah.
I personally I don't think I've ever seen a Lifetime or Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
So
and so that's the beauty of it.
But I know they're huge, and I know a lot of people that do.
And that's the beauty of it, right? Is that the people that watch those love them.
Yeah.
They love them. Yeah. And they're great projects because all of them deliver what the audience wants regularly. There are some that are better than others, right? And Hallmark fans will be like, well, I love this one more than that. But like, they deliver what you are expecting.
Just quality content.
Content in the genre and in the fabric and in the frame, the vibe, that consistently, right? And so, but they're different from each other. And so what you have to remember is that it's not about performing your ode to the work necessarily. It's about knowing the vibe and the feel of the product and being familiar enough with the tone that you can match that tone and that you can deliver that, because that's what the audience wants. So if it's a Hallmark thing, I played the bad guy in this Love and Zion National Park romance, and I'm pretentious and I'm a prick and I'm reductive of other people, right? And really the pretension is the big part of it that I try to focus on. So like feeling so instead of, there's a way to be pretentious where you're dismissive and it's subtle and you're like, oh yeah, no, that sounds good, right? But this is subtle and quiet. I don't really care what you have to say. I'm gonna just check and look and be like, sure, that sounds great.
Kind of like what it looked like I've been doing all podcasts.
Yeah, this whole thing. Yeah.
Just checking all the cameras.
Do you know what I mean though? That's
totally
the thing, right? But so like for Lifetime, you want to make it a little more like, oh, that sounds great. Yeah. No, I love that idea. I just think that my aunt would rather I have the vases. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like,
so the characters there's like distinct character differences.
So the other one is, oh no, yeah, that's great. Yeah, no, I like your idea. I just think my aunt would rather I have the vases. Do you know what I mean? There's that, which is asshole. Still reads asshole, but it's not on tone. It's not on tone, because the viewer, and this is not in any way taking a shot at Hallmark viewers at all. Like, I love their passion for the show. That comes from the fact that the actor lets you know what a dick he is. He's blatant about it, so that at home they can go, this fucking dickhead.
Well, you kind of know like what each character is and their intentions and
right
away. Yeah.
So like, play it honestly, but deliver that oh no, yeah, that is a great idea. I'm just pretty sure my aunt would rather I have the bases. You know, like so that they can join in rooting against you. They can enjoy it more. You're giving them permission. You're giving them absolute permission to chew on it a little more and to hate you. But it's not, oh yeah, no, that's a great idea. I just think my aunt would rather I have the vases. That's too, then it's like, what is it? I don't understand. What is that? What is that? And I'm not professing right now to be a master class in any of it, right? But like,
You've done enough to know.
I've done enough to know, and I'm riffing it right now, but like that's, you find that like happy medium where it's still honest and it's still like a believable 360-degree, three-dimensional character, right? Not a caricature, but it's heightened a little bit, and it helps the audience relish you like losing in the end because it's Hallmark and you always will. And on Lifetime, it's the same principle, but without the charm as much, right? Like you sleaze it up a little bit more for Lifetime. So because they're going to be rooting for and relishing when you eventually die, which is what's going to happen because it's Lifetime. Do you know what I'm talking about? So it's like, but
just knowing
the genre, knowing the tone, knowing the audience, knowing what they're looking for, and the writing on those shows, on those films and stuff can be really good. It can be really honest.
I'll have to check it out. I've never watched any of it. I have to check it out.
Yeah, man.
I'm fucking looking for shit to watch now too anyway.
Yeah. I mean, there's some of those that like are really well written. I mean, truly, like you're like, wow, that's a great.
I'm going to watch one that you're in, dude.
Oh man. Well, yeah. Love in Zion, a National Park Romance is out.
I'll check it out.
I think it's probably available on Peacock or something like that, or Hulu. One of those things that's available somewhere.
Sweet.
I mean, they beat those up, so it's cool. Yeah, I think I got recognized for that Hallmark thing almost more than anything since like Dawson's Creek or whatever. Like
they shoot those in Utah.
That one we did, Love in Zion.
Because my friend works lighting on a shit ton of those projects. He's always in Utah shooting them, constantly.
Yeah, there are a lot that shoot in Utah. There are a lot that shoot in LA. I mean, there are a lot that shoot all over. We shot part of that in LA and part of it in Utah. We actually shot part of it in Zion National Park.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. Which was dope. And, we had a big helicopter, Val. Had a big helicopter scene and everything. I mean, it was really cool to be a part of that. Sam Irvin, the director, was fantastic. Cindy Busby, she was fantastic. She's a Hallmark legend too, man. Like everybody loves Cindy. It was really, man, that was a lot of fun to be a part of. It was really cool.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And it was a great opportunity. And I was happy to be a part of that. And, Mark Spino just shot a thing. Christy Murdoch is a fantastic actress, incredible actress, and she's big in both the Lifetime and Hallmark world. And he just was out in Kentucky shooting something.
Nice. Mark Spino's been on the show before. Shout out to Mark. Yeah. He's badass.
Spino's a stud, man, and he shot something in Kentucky that I think is for one of those two as well, for either Hallmark or Lifetime. And
he's inspired. That dude inspires me.
Yeah,
he's fucking jacked, and he's fucking. I'm like, I have no excuses to be lazy.
No, and that's the thing, right? Is like the one thing you can always say about Spino is he is not lazy, man.
No,
that dude, you just you point him in a direction, and he's gonna get it done.
Yeah,
like whatever it is. He's mad talented.
No, definitely.
I got to guest star on Waco: The Aftermath on Showtime, and he was a regular. He was in every episode of that.
Oh, damn. I didn't even know that.
Playing one of the defense attorneys. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a great show to get to be a part of. And it was shot in New Mexico and Santa Fe. And I was super, super happy to be a part of that. Michael Shannon was the EP and star of it. Giovanni Ribisi.
Damn.
Mark Spino, Eric Esparza, not Estrada, sorry. Eric Esparza. Matthew Manalo and I had a scene together. He plays Rocket in it. He's part of the defense team as well. He's brilliant in that. And we had one scene. He is murderously good in that show. And in that scene in particular, I was just flabbergasted watching him work. I was like, shit,
you're pretty much answering one of my questions I didn't ask, because one of my questions was like, what's an actor that you've worked with where afterwards you're just like, holy shit, that was amazing? Because it's crazy when you shoot a scene with somebody and then you literally get to witness the performance of your life in person. In person. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, Matt Matt was definitely in that particular scene. I was not prepared for how solid. I mean, it was incredible to watch him work. Yeah, he's definitely one of them. I think, less from a performance standpoint and more from a detail-oriented standpoint, from a technical aspect. I worked with Tom Cruise on Minority Report.
Oh yeah, we talked about that last time. That's
and
dope.
his work ethic.
I was just watching clips earlier today from someone who was saying how he is on set and how he's just literally on a whole other level. About
Totally
like, did you have a good night? How's everything going? And he's just like completely like on.
Does not miss a beat, and he's clean and he's in it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I feel like that dude is movies.
Yeah,
he's
the last great movie star
for
bona
sure.
fide movie star,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
popcorn movie, and you still enjoy it, and it's not just a movie for being a movie's sake.
Like he legit, like whether you like Tom Cruise or not, you have to respect him because his love for cinema is just next level. I respect that like a motherfucker.
He loves the medium.
His love like makes me love cinema more.
Yep. That's right. Yeah, he gasses you up
yeah,
over
I'm like,
it, right?
Fuck
yep.
Yeah, I'm like,
and then anytime, and anybody who's like, yeah, he can't really act, it kind of blows. I'm like, cool, yeah, watch Tropic Thunder and come back to me with
oh my
shit.
God.
Watch Tropic Thunder and come back.
Watch Vanilla Sky.
Watch Vanilla Sky.
There's a lot of
Vanilla Sky. Yeah. Watch Magnolia. And come back and tell me that Tom Cruise can't act.
Even as big as the Mission Impossible movies are, they're really entertaining.
No,
even the last one is.
They're fantastically entertaining.
They didn't use any CGI. It was all practical. Some of the things that they're pulling off in camera are just on another level.
Now they did use CGI for the motorcycle off the ramp, the jump. But the CGI they used was just a plate over
for the ramp. Yeah.
That's it.
That was it. But like the train crash and everything, that's all practical. That's nuts.
Everything on
that's nuts.
Everything's practical.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean it's wild. It's wild, man. And I think he just gets it, man. He gets how to deliver a movie that you're like excited about watching. You know what I mean? He like hammers you with it.
Yeah.
He's the last great movie star, and they're still fantastic movie actors, all of the above. But I mean, just somebody like whose name goes above the title of the movie. Tom Cruise is about the last of them out there that you can do that, and that movie will bankroll.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think it is an interesting medium right now. I think it's an interesting finding its home right now. I think we'll come out hopefully gangbusters once the strike is over.
Well, can we just get into that before we end the show?
Of course,
just the strike a little bit. Where do you see the strike going from here? I read earlier today that they're having meetings with some progress today, but
yeah, they're having regular meetings now. Like regular meetings with a day off or 2 days off or a weekend off in between, that kind of thing. And I think that is that's an indication of a really good sign. But I do withhold any kind of extreme confidence until they say that it's done.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you don't know, even when they say we're close or we're really, we're dwindling down to just the last bit of whatever, right?
So that's exactly what the article said. And in my mind, I'm like,
well, you just don't know what that last bit is,
exactly.
Right? And like how important that last bit is to one side or the other or both, right? And so that's where I'm in a perfect world, man. Maybe it ends tomorrow. Maybe it ends tonight. Maybe they come out of there like, I think we got a tentative agreement. And that would be brilliant. Or this week, right? But like, and I hope for that. And I'm not saying that that's not likely. I'm saying you just without having details in the room, it's impossible to say, because it could come down to just one thing that they
don't agree on. Yeah,
they've locked up everything else except for this one.
Yeah,
and it is at that point, because they are, they're human beings, and you don't get to be where any of the people in that room are without some strong ego. A strong record of success, and being a strong personality of some sort, right? On both sides. And I mean that on both sides. You don't get to be the head of the Screen Actors Guild, the president of the Screen Actors Guild, without knowing who you are and you know, without having some pride in that and some ego, a healthy dose of ego, and maybe too much of a dose. I don't know. And I'm not speaking about Fran. I just mean Fran. I just mean anybody in the room. When you become CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company, when you become whatever.
I couldn't imagine how those meetings are going.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, those people aren't necessarily in the room. They haven't been in the room a lot. They've been virtually in the room a few times. And then they've been in the room for some of the meetings, and I'm not sure if they're in today or not. But they've got like consiglieres that are in there for them anyway, lobbying and representing them. But so you just don't, you know, with that kind of level, what is required to have gotten to that position in the first place is indicative of someone that if that one thing is just something that they want to hold, that they do not want to budge on, you know, you could end up with a proverbial pissing contest over it. And that could, you know, everybody walks away again and comes back and tries it again. You know, I hope that that's not the case. I mean, that's already happened in this instance a couple of times. And like, so hopefully they're at that point where they've checked their egos down on both sides and are trying to come to a sensible agreement that that protects the creatives across the board and sets future groundwork. I think it's important to remember that a lot of what is being negotiated today is setting precedents for what will be negotiated in the future, and that we got into this position in the first place off of the fact that no one could have foreseen streaming happening in the manner by which it has happened. And because of that, when the first contract, the contract that just expired, when those contracts for the WGA and SAG were made, streaming was
a different world.
It was a different world.
Yeah.
And so, you know, hindsight's 2020, and that's not an indictment of the negotiators for those contracts at all. It just is what it is. You didn't know. And now that we do know, I think arguing over and holding ground over conceding elements that are as yet to be determined is important and key and really challenging, because you've got to preemptively figure out how you're going to get screwed. You know what I mean? I'm like, good luck with technology. Good luck being able to do that. And I think they're really trying to be diligent about doing that. And I think that the CEOs are not a part of the creative process. And so I think their edict going in is their fiduciary responsibilities, and the lack of transparency in big business of all kinds is so
well. They were
raging.
definitely trying to hide a lot of that shit forever,
Yeah,
you know. And I think there's a big misunderstanding with the general public, because they'll see all these super famous, wealthy actors striking, and they're just like, "Oh, fuck them," but they don't realize that they're striking for like the lower guys. You know what I mean? Like, are coming up, and,
right?
And there's more of those actors than there are the big stars
by a lot.
Yeah.
So I think there's something important. First, I want to say that during the strike, it's got to be about solidarity. So while there are things that can be addressed and need to be addressed within the union and within and policies and approaches and things of that nature, to which I'm not a subscriber to. You know, I don't believe in certain elements of certain things. I disagree with my union leadership on certain elements, right?
Well, I'm glad you're bringing that up, because that was another one of my questions was, are there actors that do have issues with
plenty? Yeah.
And are some of them unhappy with the strike? And
plenty are, yeah.
I feel like maybe are they afraid to speak up because of the ridicule?
That's correct.
Like the guy from Arrow.
Yeah, that's correct.
Robbie. I forgot his name.
Yeah. You've got to be very Stephen Hamill. Yeah,
Stephen Hamill. Yeah,
you got to be very careful. And Robbie Hamill's his brother, but you have to be very careful. What you do, what you say, what you post, things of that nature. And I think towing the party line right now in solidarity is the right thing for me personally. Right. While I don't judge anybody for voicing their disagreement. I also think that while that's where I'm comfortable being right now, I'm also working still. I'm also booking commercials, and I'm getting these movies that are under IA, and I've got residuals from 20 years ago that are coming in that are still great. And like, I don't need it to pay my mortgage. And so I am not in a place to throw stones. and the people that need it to pay their mortgage and that sort of thing, you know, that breaks my heart for them. And it especially breaks my heart for the below the line people that, you know, that just can't work right now, that are like, they can't go to work. All they want to do is go to work. And they never got paid what I got paid for a day's work in the first place. And they still, all they want to do is go earn their money, and they can't. And that's so unfortunate. In saying that, I will say one thing that I'll speak to specifically about the union is when the union presents this 86% number without insurance. 86% of the union doesn't have insurance, doesn't qualify for insurance. And
you have to make a certain amount, right?
Certain amount
like
under union
contracts
or something. I think it's 26 or 28,000, whatever it is. Again, I've been very fortunate that even off of residuals,
you've been in it for so long.
Yeah, I've made well over it, and I qualify for the insurance, and not just the beginning, the lower level.
But most actors don't,
right?
Yeah.
But there's also a large portion of that 86% that are not working actors, or they're background performers. Which are working and are actors and are covered by the union. And there's nothing wrong with background performers, but they have a regular, if you aren't making $26,000 a year and you are only doing union work because you're a member of the union and you're not making $26,000 a year and you live in LA, you obviously have another job. Right?
Because you're not going that hard.
Well, no, I'm not saying. I'm just saying you can't afford to live in LA on 26 grand.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right. So, yeah,
most all actors, even second jobs.
Right. So if you are in that 86% who do, I don't know, 10 days of extra background work a year because it'll be fun, right? More power to you. But you are not who is being fought for right now. There's a large percentage of that 86%. There's a vast number in that 86% that don't make the minimum to qualify for insurance.
Because
they are actors, but they are not intending to be full-time actors.
I see what you're saying.
That is not their goal. That's not where they're headed.
So
that's
that number is skewed.
Trying to do that 86%, and this new contract is not going to take that 86% and make it 20%. No matter what they do to this new contract, no matter what.
I see.
No matter what.
That makes so much sense.
You know what I mean? Because that 50 or I don't know the percentage. SAG doesn't share it. But the percentage that aren't actively seeking work, aren't actively auditioning, aren't actively whatever, pursuing it to be their main source of income, that percentage is significant in that 86%. That is a vast majority of that 86%. It is well over 50% of the 86%. And so really, and once you're above that 86% that don't qualify for insurance, you still have another 5-8% to go before you're talking about people that pay their mortgage, their bills, everything, make all of their living solely from acting. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Which I'm fortunate that I'm one of that middle percentage, mm-hmm. right? Whatever that is, whatever that block is. Let's say 95 to 98% or something like that, right? And then the top 2% or 1% that could never work another day in their lives, even though they do, could never work another day in their lives, and they'll never have to worry, right? Because they're super stars. And so, there's these percentages and these numbers that are being thrown out. They're skewed on both sides. The fact that the AMPTP, the studios, aren't giving numbers at all is...
Yeah, they don't tell you shit.
That's right. That's bullshit. And if 1 billion hours of Suits is being watched and the stars of Suits are making pennies off of 1 billion hours of it being watched, you can fuck off with yourself. You owe those people some money.
How are we even supposed to trust the top 10 on Netflix?
That's correct.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they
that's
could
correct.
Just be making... Sometimes there's old movies from 10 years ago and it's number 6.
That's correct.
They fucking put that on there because they want people to...
That's
start
right.
watching it for some reason. I don't know why.
That for whatever the reason, because they're negotiating with somebody to acquire their other stuff, or the distributor or whatever, right?
They even go as far as having custom thumbnails per watcher. So if you're into a certain kind of thing that they think, they'll have a thumbnail that shows you
The
a certain
algorithm.
thing. Yeah,
That's
the
right.
algorithm. So everyone's thumbnails are different just
That's
to get
right.
you to click. It's nuts.
That's right. And so while all of that is true on the studio's part, and there's money, there's money that is due to people for sure. While all of that is true, there's also, you know, in the news and in the way that it's presented, there are also aspects of the numbers presented by the union. So the lack of numbers of the studio is just absolute bullshit. And then that goes right up to what pennies get paid. You know, the pennies are getting paid. That's about as much information as you're getting as well. A penny's worth, right? Of truth and transparency. In the same way, the union, I don't want to say they're misrepresenting. They're not lying. There is 86% or whatever of the union that don't qualify for insurance, right? But they're omitting a little more context there to help understand that it's really, you know, about 15% of the union, 20% of the union actively right now that this thing is really for. And then there's another percentage coming in the future that it is definitely for, right? That haven't even joined the union yet. Yeah. That it's to protect. And that is indicative of how difficult the job is for the negotiators from the union, because they've got to predict, they have to be predictive about their protections that they're putting in place with AI and with other things. They've got to be able to say, listen, we don't want to go on strike for 100 days, 110 now, I think, 111. No, it's 111 days today. On 11/1, it's 111 days. You don't want to, you know, we don't want to have to go on strike every 3 years when the contract comes up.
Let's just do this once and have it good for like the next 50 years until it changes again. Something new comes along.
Let's adjust instead of arguing. Let's figure out the adjustments, but let's get a framework that we can adjust from. And we need to stay on strike until we get a good deal, a good framework right now. And the general public, it helps to say 86% can't do this and can't do that and don't qualify for it and all of that stuff.
Because it puts you on the side of...
Because it puts you on the side of you know, it's hard to put somebody on the side of Bryan Cranston, right? It's hard to put somebody on his side when, like, the general public, not knowing nothing of the industry, I mean.
I think someone with knowing nothing of the industry would rather be on his side than the CEO of these fucking asshole corporations, right?
They would, but look at what happens in sports. In sports where there are no extras, even the lowest paid guy on a team's making $400, $500.
Yeah, there's a
right?
minimum, a league minimum.
Right? Yeah. So like, look at it in sports. The owners are billionaires. The players are millionaires. What do you guys not? I just want to watch football. Why do you guys go strike? I just want to watch baseball. I just want to watch my sports. Or you guys got to strike, right? It's easy. If you're not a party to it, it's easy to, right? So like you see Bryan Cranston, who, if you know him, you know that he is a huge hearted man and an incredible talent and a gift to humanity, frankly, and an impeccable artist, and will only get into the dirt and only get into the mud with you and will leave no man behind. Bryan Cranston, we must protect him at all costs. Yeah. He is an incredible human being. But I only use him because I only use his name as a reference because he too.
He's on the front lines.
He's on the front lines regularly. Not daily, but weekly. He is on the front lines on the regular. And it's easy for someone sitting at home who has no connection to it, and this isn't.
Oh, I know, and just write some shit comment on Twitter.
This isn't
oh my God,
to
trust me.
Those people at home who don't know, but they don't know, and they're like, "What do I care about Bryan Cranston?" Right?
Yeah, so fuck him. I know.
Yeah, fuck Bryan Cranston. How much did he make on
that
his
goes back
thing?
to my original question. It's like everyone's like, "Fuck these celebrities," but they don't realize, but they're not fighting for themselves.
That's correct. Yeah. That's exactly right. And so that's the hard part, that the union has to shape the message, has to be, and it's easier to say, you know, you can do 3 guest stars and not qualify for insurance on this deal than it is to say that, like, you know, there's, you know, this percentage, this small percentage or relatively small versus 86%. Like I saw a woman in the news talking about, she was interviewed and she's a member of the union, I guess. The article stated this woman was a member of the union, and it qualified who she was as as having been on 4 productions this year, or 6 productions. I worked on 6 productions this year. And I don't qualify for insurance. And I worked on 6 productions this year, and I'm living in my car, and I have to go to the gym to shower. And first, let me say, anyone experiencing homelessness, my heart goes out to them, and I'm empathetic. That fucking sucks. That's hard.
Yeah, but most actors choose to be homeless in search for that dream, right?
Well, if you've been on 6 productions and you don't qualify for insurance, then how many days? That is a misrepresentation of who that person is and their experience. When I looked them up, their work had been as a stand-in and background, and on 6 productions, but it was like 8 days probably total. And if you went to a school teacher and said, who makes $60,000 a year, if they're lucky, in this state, I think the average is like $52,000. A school teacher, someone responsible for our future, our youth, like truly responsible, who goes to work and actually probably in the back of their head lives in an unfortunate world where in the back of their head, they fear for their safety as well. And they still tune up and go to work, right? If you said to that school teacher who works 9 or 10 months a year for $52,000 that I worked 6 days last year and I didn't make $26,000, like, what would you say?
Yeah, I didn't even think of it like that, dude.
How do you
so there's all these people who are just kind of trying to like leech on to this and get in the way. Not leech on, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's a part of the message, right? It's part of the message. And like,
so that's a bad representation of what's going on. And they're putting that person on the news.
Yes. Talk about my friend Laura Holloway, who owns a studio in Nashville and teaches some fantastic actors and has had, recurring roles and guest star roles and has, quality roles and is an immensely talented actress and has repeatedly come super close to qualifying for insurance, but has never qualified for insurance. And you can see her on a
real actor.
She is a working actress. Yeah. She's a working actor and she's incredible and she respects the craft and she does great, fantastic work. She auditions regularly and she stays on top of her materials and she busts her ass and she's super talented. And she's come hyper close and missed by like a couple $100.
That's fucking lame.
Right. Like that's the kind of person where are the residuals that would have put her over the edge, that would have qualified her?
And then when this new deal that would have helped to bump her to that.
Correct.
I see. Okay.
Correct.
I appreciate you explaining this.
And that's who this has to be for, man.
Yeah.
Is the person who is actually bona fide booking and working and auditioning and getting better. And for the person who's auditioning and not yet booking, but is crushing on these auditions and working and getting better and doing the work and going and working a job to pay their bills as well and coming home exhausted, but geeking up and on their lunch break going in for the commercial audition and they're just not booking yet, right? Or they're only booking 1 or 2 gigs or whatever, right? But they're going and they're hitting it and it's for that person too. And it's for the kid who's dreaming of one day being an actor professionally for their career and is doing their high school show right now.
Not these fucking posers.
Well, yeah, no, fuck that, right? No, I don't mean that. But like, it's very few of the people that are members of the union. Very few of those people who have no intention of like supporting themselves through their membership in the union. Very few of those people are out complaining, right? They understand the strike and they're supportive of the strike because they understand that it's for this percentage that are working regularly. So it's not, I say that with no ill will against the majority of my union membership, right? My fellow members. I just mean that there's messaging to it that makes it sound like, please, may I have another? And while that's very true, and while we are getting hosed and it's bullshit and it needs to be fixed, there's not like this plight of members of SAG who don't have food on their table
Yeah.
because of the contract. And in fact, there are plenty who are scraping by, particularly right now, in that 10 or 12% and worried about their mortgages and stuff like that because they're not capable, because they can't work, because their show's not in production.
Yeah.
Show
Because
that
of the
they're-
strike.
Because of the strike.
Yeah, that's fucking.
And so the studios know that, and they're trying to squeeze the balls on those people. And like, we got to hold tight, man. We got to support each other and get through it and get a good, fair deal that leaves room for adjustments in the future.
I'll rock that on the next show, dude.
My dude.
I appreciate that.
Love you for that, man.
I'm gonna piss myself here now, but
Yep.
and then we'll come back, we'll do some plugs and shit, and then
Cool.
we could do the rapid fire if that's
Yeah,
cool.
man.
Okay, hang on. Just
I got a
like
10-1 too.
2
So.
seconds. Oh, okay, you can go first?
May I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm going to 10-1 also.
I got it. I am proud to announce that the Bogcast has officially partnered with Hempful Farms. These are products that I truly believe in and that I have been using for years now. Even Fabius and Gertie love their Paw Putty products. They literally have CBD for everyone. So if you want to save money when buying your CBD, just go to hempfulfarmscbd.com, use promo code BODCAST, and you will save 15% off when spending $35 or more. And you will get free shipping when spending $75 or more. So again, just use promo code BODCAST at the checkout and go to hempfulfarmscbd.com. First off, I just wanted to say, dude, this podcast could be 6 hours long. I could talk to you forever because I love this fucking shit, and this is awesome. You gave me the best explanation on the SAG strike yet, and I
Thanks,
fucking
man.
devoured the internet just trying to understand it.
Yeah.
And even every time I thought I didn't, So I appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not an expert, but like, I've been in the game a long time, and I've also have been researching it, and I'm privy to, I mean, look, I'm a stockholder in most of the companies that are on the AMPTP or the ownership.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As plenty of us are. And I'm one of that percentage of actors who does, it's the only thing I do to make my living and to support myself and my family. And so it's hard, and so I've tried to stay on top of it. And like,
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I mean, there are probably people that are more expert than I am, but I won't sugarcoat. As much as I stand in solidarity with my union, as I said, even though there are things I do disagree with, I'll also try to best of my ability, speak to both sides of it.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
You know what I mean? Of like the honesty of it, of like, yeah. And so hopefully it's not a pissing contest. For a while it was on their side, the studio. They're like, fuck, we got all the money in the world. Fuck off. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so proud of our union to be like, okay,
That'll backfire on that.
yeah, okay, we'll dip. See how that works out for you.
It just sucks as a fan of content, like just
Yes.
knowing next year there's not going to be shit. You know what I mean? That sucks.
It's gonna be, and you know what?
And I'm already feel like I'm struggling to I'm always looking for the next movie or show, And next year's gonna.
Yeah.
I already know next year's gonna suck. I'm
Dude,
like,
I
fuck.
soaked that shit in just like you. I'm like about it so much, and there's just so much of it. And with the delay that we've already talked about, in from finishing principal photography to actually completing post and releasing, bro, it's insane, some of this shit. Like, it's gonna be a backlog of nothing. It's gonna be worse. It's gonna be far worse than the initial shutdown from COVID.
Yeah, because when everything comes back, they're gonna proceed to shoot, but it's still gonna take a year to shoot.
That's what I mean.
Post-production.
It's going to be far worse
Yeah.
than it was with COVID.
So anyway, I just want to say thanks for coming on the show, dude. You're welcome on anytime you want. Like
Thanks
I said,
for
this is
having
some
me,
of my favorite conversations. I don't know if you want to just give any plugs or maybe any new projects that people can find you on or
Yeah,
watch
thanks,
or...
man. Yeah, so again, with the strike, I have to be careful about
Oh,
what
I forgot
say,
about
right?
that. I'm sorry.
No. I will say that one thing that we did, it's called Phyllis with Paul and Patty Winters Film Group. If you get an opportunity to check that out, Rob Kaboski's work in it for the effects, and he's a genius, and his work in that is incredible. Rachel Alleg, who's the star of it, is brilliant in it. I'm fortunate to be a part of it. Paul Winters directed and was our principal camera op on it, cinematographer. And then not camera op, but cinematographer, and Matt Ruby. There are just so many people on that shoot, and that just released last night.
Oh shit.
On Halloween, and I watched it, and it's really, really, I'm so proud of it. It's really great, and it's a testament to what can be created in Arizona. I also have a thing that was made on prior to the strike, we shot it, that is permitted to be spoken about, called Thoughts and Prayers. And it is a take on, gun violence. But it is a take that is a little more, it's a little more tongue in cheek. as tongue-in-cheek as you can be about a subject that is so prevalent in society and something that needs to be addressed, the mental health aspects of it and all sorts of aspects of it. I don't want to politicize it, the tragedies of it, but yeah, it's really great. Amy Poehler is the executive producer of that. Danny Farber directed and stars in it. My friend Angelica is brilliant in it as well. Angelica Washington, she's been in tons of stuff. She was on Stargirl with my dude Joel McHale. Joel McHale, what's up, Joel? What's good? What's good, Joe? But Angelica Washington, Danny Farber. I'm fortunate again to be a small part of that. That's being shopped around to all of the festivals. It's another short, but Amy Poehler and her company are on as the executive producers of that, and so I'm really proud of that one. And then another Arizona connection. We shot it in LA, just outside of LA, Santa Clarita. But I got to work with Diana Cody, and I had worked with her before on The Darkening Hour, Tony Severi's movie. I'd worked with her. Well, I didn't actually get to work with her. We were both on it, but we didn't play opposite each other at any point. We weren't in the same scenes, but I got to meet her during that. And she and Josie Hall and their friend Sam and then this entire group of incredible creatives have a production company out in LA. And Josie wrote this project and we shot it. David Rice, who's also an Arizona native but is now in LA as well. We shot it out there, and it is really, really, really what we shot. The sizzler for it is really incredible, and really their work on it is brilliant. And the script is, for the feature length of it, is insane. And I think I'm allowed to say the name of it. It's Cookbook for Southern Housewives. And
for some reason, if you can, I can edit it out. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure I can.
Okay.
I feel confident because I think they released it
okay.
On their socials. So
I don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah. But it is, man, that is one, and that is a testament to that whole adage of if you're not happy with the system as it is, or if you're not booking, or if they're not letting you play in their sandbox or whatever, build your own sandbox, dig your own hole, get in it, and they continue to, by the way, not just this, they've done a lot of work and continue to, but this project, I'm super happy to be a part of it.
Fuck yeah.
Playing Kirksey in it, and he's a guy you love to hate. And yeah, so that's another one that I would love to point out. And Diana Cody and Josie Hall, they're going to be, just remember their names, man. Like that
Sweet.
is, you're going to, I'm calling it the shot. Those two are already creating incredible, impeccable projects from scratch, from the ground up. And I think you will be hard pressed to go anywhere without hearing one and or both of their names.
Fuck yeah.
In the next, in the coming years. Like, they're that good.
Damn.
Yeah, they are bosses.
I'll look them up right after.
Yeah, they're insane.
Nice.
They're
Dude.
so good. So.
Do you have any social medias or anything? Or
no, I don't believe in it. No.
I wish.
Yeah, no. The only one I'm active on is my Instagram, and that is my screen name on that is Bourke_Floyd. So that's BOURKE_Floyd. Yeah, but I am active on that.
Sweet.
And so hit me up on there, follow me, say hello, let me know what you're up to. I love keeping up with people, and
yeah, dude.
Sometimes it takes me a minute to get through it. So like if you message me, and you want to comment as well, then I'll look for the message. You know what I mean? But that's but please do, because I love keeping in touch with people and meeting new people through there and finding out what you're up to too. Because I just, man, I'm rooting for you. That's a fact, man.
Okay.
I'm just trying to be the kind of human that my dog thinks I am. You know what I mean? I'll never get there. But I just want to be, I want to try every day to be better and be the kind of human my dog thinks I am. So
that's good advice, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
And
thanks for having me, bro. I love being on here.
Yeah, dude.
Except for this part, I'm stalling because this part always makes me nervous. These rapid fire ones, I literally never know what's going to come out of my mouth.
Yeah, so that wraps this portion of the Bogcast, but we are going to do some rapid fire questions. We do have members only. If you want to become a member, you just got to hit that join button in the top right corner. There's different perks for the different memberships. You can join as low as 99 cents a month, help support the channel, and you can watch a bunch of exclusive content like the rapid fire questions I'm about to ask Bourke Floyd. So
hey, and for the first 10 people that join, or no, I don't want to do something that excludes the people that have already joined. I'll give something to like 10 people.
Really?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
give something to 10 people from, maybe I'll call members only and get them to give them a members only jacket, or I'll make them a ridiculous video from a set, or
Yeah, that'd be
what I
dope,
mean?
dude.
That
Yeah.
kind of thing. Joel
Sweet.
McHale and I will do something
That would
stupid.
be cool.
Craig and I, tomorrow night I'll be with Zane Lamprey. Maybe he and
Yeah.
I will make a stupid video for them. So however they get in touch with you, to let you know, or your new members and existing members, if you guys join and message, whatever, like I got something for 10 of them.
Sweet. I appreciate that.
You know
Dude.
what I mean?
Fuck yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And it'll
That
be
means a lot.
random. I
Oh, yeah.
promise. Like you'll just use the randomizer on Alexa. Just put all of, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
if you get 100 names, you put all the 100 names. You
I
assign
actually
them.
have a randomizer thing I use.
There you go. Yeah. And then you just ask Alexa to pick a number between whatever, one and whatever. And then that's who wins. So
Nice.
yeah, I always love doing that. So
Sweet.
yeah,
Thank you,
I'll
dude.
have something
You're
really rad
fucking-
for 10 of them.
Sweet. You
Like
will.
dope. Something like some of them will be wild.
You hearing that?
That's real talk.
Jay
too.
up.
I'll get you your own Funko Pop just for you.
Oh, shit.
A custom Funko Pop of you.
Whoa. You can do that?
Yeah.
I want to make one of McClay.
Done. I'll have him holding a fucking can of squirt.
Squirt. Yeah. Yeah.
legit
Oh,
done.
shit. Okay. Cool.
Ask
And
Mark
a mushroom
Spino.
t-shirt.
Ask Mark Spino about that shit.
Oh, he has one?
I got him one.
Oh, nice.
Mark Spino's got his own baseball cards
Oh, shit.
from Topps.
Damn.
Mark Spino's a legend.
No, I need to hit him up. He actually commented on our last show.
Oh, he never comments on my shit.
It's been 2.5 years.
Spino.
So, all right, guys, thanks for joining us, and we will see you on the next episode. Peace out.